Imagine you are alone in your room. Your mind is restless, jumping from one worry to another. What if I fail tomorrow? What if people judge me? What if everything falls apart? Does this sound familiar? How often do we find ourselves trapped in these endless loops of thought, thinking too much about things we cannot change? Every day, millions suffer silently from this invisible war inside their minds. Overthinking drags us down, steals our peace, and fills our hearts with stress. But what if there was a way to stop this storm? What if the key to calm is not outside us, but lies deep within? Picture a man walking through a raging storm. The winds howl, the rain pounds, yet he stands firm, unshaken. How? Because he knows the storm is temporary and his power comes from holding steady inside. This is the power we all can find. Welcome to Book Boost. Here, we explore wisdom that lifts the spirit and sharpens the mind. If you want to take control of your thoughts, reduce stress, and find lasting peace, you're in the right place. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your journey to a stronger mind starts now. Please drop down your one thought on believe in yourself in the comments. Your voice matters here. The ancient thinkers who faced life's hardships without modern comforts understood this battle well. They taught that overthinking comes from confusing what we can control with what we cannot. They showed that our true strength lies in mastering our minds, not trying to control the world outside. This path demands courage. It means stepping back from the noise inside us and watching our thoughts without fear. It means training ourselves to respond with calm, not reaction. It means building a fortress of quiet strength that no worry can break. As we begin this journey, know this: stress is not caused by events themselves, but by how we think about them. Change your thoughts, and the world changes with you. In the coming parts, we will uncover the way to that change, a way walked by those who refuse to be slaves to their minds. Stay with us. The quiet power you seek is closer than you think. You are not your thoughts, detachment, not suppression. Imagine sitting beside a river, watching the water flow by. You do not try to stop the water, nor do you dive into it. You simply observe. The river carries leaves, twigs, and sometimes trash, but you remain calm, separate from the current. Your mind is much like that river. Thoughts come and go like the water, but you are not the thoughts themselves. You are the observer. Most of our suffering comes because we mistake our thoughts for ourselves. We believe that every fear, every doubt, every angry or anxious feeling is who we truly are. But it is not. Thoughts are just visitors, temporary shadows crossing the walls of our minds. When you realize this, a powerful shift begins. Instead of being dragged into every worry or judgment, you learn to step back. You say to yourself, "This is just a thought. It does not define me. I do not have to act on it." This is not about suppressing or fighting your mind. That only makes the storm inside stronger. No, it is about creating distance, becoming the quiet space where thoughts appear and disappear without control over you. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Notice how he does not tell us to change the events. Instead, he tells us to change how we relate to our minds. This is the heart of the Stoic discipline. Overthinking happens when we lose this distance. When one anxious thought breeds another and another, we become prisoners of our own minds. The mind, in its restless search for meaning or safety, spins a web of what-ifs, fears, and regrets. It builds castles in the air, most of them made of shadows and dust. But there is freedom in realizing that you are not the mind's prisoner. Imagine a theater stage where plays come and go, comedies, tragedies, dramas. You watch the scenes unfold, but you are not the actor, the script, or the audience's applause. You are the stage itself, steady, silent, unchanging. This way of thinking requires practice. It is not easy to stand apart when emotions shout loudly. Yet, every time you pause and watch your thoughts without reacting, you strengthen your inner calm. You build a habit of observing without judgment. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the greatest Stoic teachers, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When your mind races with worry or anger, remind yourself, these are reactions, not truths. You choose which thoughts to give power to. Imagine your mind as a garden. Some thoughts are flowers, kind, calm, hopeful. Others are weeds, fears, doubts, regrets. Your task is not to uproot every thought violently. Instead, gently notice the weeds and choose not to water them. Focus your energy on the flowers. In time, your garden grows stronger, and the weeds lose their grip. This practice does not mean you deny your feelings or pretend everything is fine. Real detachment means seeing feelings as signals, not commands. When anger rises, you notice it but do not let it control your words or actions. When fear appears, you greet it calmly, understanding its message without running away. The mind's nature is to wander. It is a wild horse that wants to run in every direction. Stoicism teaches us to become the skilled rider, steadying the reins without harsh control. With patience, the horse listens and moves forward with purpose. There is a story about Seneca, another great Stoic, who once said that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Our minds create storms that rarely come to pass. How many times have we spent sleepless nights over things that never happened? When we learn to watch our thoughts, we see these storms clearly. They are just clouds, not permanent darkness. You might wonder, how do I start this practice? Begin simply. When a troubling thought arises, do not fight it or run from it. Instead, say quietly to yourself, this is just a thought. Imagine placing that thought on a leaf and watching it float down the river. Let it go. This small step begins a chain reaction. You become more aware of the gap between thought and self. That gap is freedom. In that space, stress loses its grip. Anxiety fades because you realize the power to calm your mind lies within you, not outside. We live in a world full of noise, distractions, and endless demands. It is easy to be swept away by every sensation and opinion. Yet, true peace comes from looking inward and practicing this ancient wisdom. You are not your thoughts. You are the stillness behind them. To stop overthinking, do not try to silence your mind by force. Instead, become the calm observer, the quiet presence that watches thoughts pass like clouds. From this place, you will find a new strength, a fortress no storm can shake. As you walk this path, remember the words of Marcus Aurelius, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Choose to color your soul with clarity, calm, and courage. This is not a quick fix, nor an escape from reality. It is a way to live fully, with a mind that serves you, not one that enslaves you. The journey begins with one simple truth: we are not our thoughts. From here, the mind can grow quiet, and the heart can breathe free. The discipline of perception, seeing the world as it is. We suffer not because the world is cruel, but because we fail to see it clearly. Everything begins in the mind. Not in the noise around us, not in the behavior of others, not in the chaos of life, but in how we see all of it. You may not control what happens, but you always control how you see it. And that small difference is everything. A storm does not make a man weak. His fear of the storm does. A loss does not destroy the soul. His idea that he cannot live without what he lost, that's what breaks him. The discipline of perception is one of the greatest teachings of Stoicism. It means we must train our minds to stop seeing the world through emotion, fear, and assumption. We must learn to see clearly, without drama, without stories, without judgment, just facts, just truth. That's where peace begins. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic master, wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." What does this mean for you and me? It means we often create more pain than life actually gives us. We get rejected, and we say, "I'm not good enough." Someone speaks badly of us, and we say, "They hate me." We make a mistake, and we say, "I'll never succeed." But these are not facts. They are just stories we tell ourselves. And those stories become chains that bind us to stress and overthinking. The Stoic path is not to lie to ourselves with positive thinking. That would be just another illusion. The Stoic path is to see with truthful eyes. When something happens, ask, what is this, really? What is in my control, and what is not? Let us take an example. You are stuck in traffic, running late. The mind wants to scream. It wants to panic. But pause. What is the truth? You are in a car, delayed. That's all. Stressing, shouting, hitting the steering wheel, it changes nothing. The situation remains the same, but your mind is now in war. So the Stoic breathes and simply says, this is not in my control. But how I sit here, that is. Maybe you listen to something useful. Maybe you reflect in silence. But you do not suffer more than needed. That is the power of clear perception. We must stop expecting life to move by our design. Life does not promise comfort. It does not guarantee fairness. People will fail you. Plans will break. The unexpected will come. But if you train your perception, none of it can destroy your peace. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." How true that is. We play the worst scenes in our head before they ever happen. We imagine defeat. We imagine pain. We imagine judgment. And in doing so, we live through tragedies that never even occurred. But what if we didn't? What if we saw life without filters? Imagine walking into a room where someone ignores you. The old mind would say, they don't like me. The Stoic mind would say, they may be lost in thought. I cannot know their reasons, so I will not judge. That simple shift changes your day. Or imagine you get bad news, a project failed. You could say, I'm worthless. I've wasted my time. Or you could say, this is feedback. This is life showing me a lesson. I will use it. This is perception. Not pretending. Not hiding. But clarity. The world outside will never be perfect. But your vision of it can be calm, controlled, and wise. And when your vision changes, your life changes. There's something powerful that happens when you stop blaming life for your emotions. You start to take back your power. You stop reacting and start choosing. You stop being tossed by every wave, and instead you stand still, like a rock in the sea. It is not an easy path. To see clearly, you must go against the instincts of your own mind. You must resist the urge to judge too quickly. You must pause when your emotions rise. You must reflect before you react. But in doing this, you build something few people ever achieve, a mind that cannot be shaken. Epictetus, the slave-turned-philosopher, taught his students to always ask, is this in my control? If yes, then act with reason. If no, then let it go. In that simple question, we remove 90% of our stress. Your peace does not come from silence outside. It comes from silence inside. Let others rush. Let others scream. Let others hate. You stay calm. Stay clear. See what they do not see. Feel what they cannot feel. That is how a Stoic walks through fire, not without feeling, but without burning. You do not need more strength. You need more clarity. You need to stop fighting shadows in your mind. You need to look at life and say, I will see what is real, and I will not let it poison my soul. If your perception is broken, everything will seem like a threat. But when your perception is trained, when your inner eye is calm and clear, you will see that most things are small, passing, and powerless against a still mind. So ask yourself, how many hours have I lost to thoughts that were not true? How many moments have I ruined with imagined fears? How many days have I spent worrying about people, things, or events I cannot control? Now ask, what would my life look like if I could see clearly? That answer is the beginning of freedom. Imagine the world around you crashing in waves of anger, fear, and sorrow. Imagine storms so fierce that many would break, lose hope, or give in to despair. Yet here we stand, not untouched by pain, not immune to hardship, but unshaken. How is this possible? How do we find that silent strength that does not crumble? The answer lies in something ancient, yet powerful, a power within us all, waiting to be claimed. It is the power of emotional fortitude. To be emotionally strong is not to deny feelings or pretend to be cold. It is not to escape pain or hide from grief. Rather, it is to face these emotions squarely, to understand them, and to hold the reins of our minds tightly enough to guide them instead of being dragged by them. Think of a great tree in a violent storm. Its branches may shake, its leaves may fall, but its roots dig deep into the earth. The tree does not fight the wind. It does not waste energy in resistance. It stands firm because its foundation is strong. So must we be with our emotions. When anger rises, it demands action, quick and often reckless. It blinds us, fuels rash words and decisions that we later regret. But if we pause, if we catch that first surge of fire and hold it, then we see clearly that anger rarely solves what it claims to solve. It destroys more than it builds. To master anger is to choose peace over chaos. Fear is another shadow that haunts many nights. It whispers of danger, failure, rejection. It can paralyze the mind, freeze the will. Yet fear is often a story we tell ourselves, a shadow made larger by imagination. The wise remind us to question these stories, to separate what is real from what is imagined. Fear's power fades when we refuse to feed it. Grief, sorrow, loss, these are not easily dismissed. They cut deep because they touch what we love most. To be stoic does not mean to become unfeeling or hard. It means to honor the pain but not let it define us. We carry grief like a wound that can heal, learning from it and growing stronger. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who ruled an empire while wrestling with his own doubts and losses, wrote simply, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the heart of emotional fortitude. It is the knowledge that while we cannot always control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. Imagine the mind as a garden. If we allow weeds of anger, fear, and sorrow to grow unchecked, they will choke the flowers of reason, peace, and joy. But if we tend carefully, pulling weeds as soon as they sprout, Watering the good seeds, we cultivate a space where calm can grow, even in harsh seasons. This discipline does not come overnight. It is a daily battle, a practice like training a muscle. Every time we resist the urge to react with anger, every time we question the voice of fear, every time we allow grief to flow without drowning us, we strengthen that muscle. Consider Epictetus, once a slave who became a great teacher of this art. He taught that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Pain is what happens to us. Suffering is how we respond. We cannot stop pain from coming, but we can stop suffering by training the mind. Emotional fortitude is the armor against the chaos of life. It is the calm in the eye of the storm. It is the quiet voice that says, "This too shall pass," and means it. We do not seek to be unbreakable because that is impossible. We seek to be unshaken, able to bend and sway but never fall. To hold ourselves steady even when the world seems intent on shaking us to the core. In this strength lies freedom. Freedom from being a slave to every passing feeling. Freedom from the chains of anxiety and regret. Freedom to live fully, without being held captive by our own minds. So when the next wave of anger crashes, when fear tightens its grip, when sorrow threatens to drown you, remember this: you have the power to choose your response. You can meet those feelings with calm. You can breathe through the storm. You can stand firm. This is not weakness. This is courage. The courage to face the darkness inside us and to say, "You will not control me." This is the way of emotional fortitude. The path is difficult, yes. It asks for patience, effort, and constant vigilance. But the reward is priceless: a mind at peace, a heart untroubled, and a soul free. In standing unshaken, we honor the greatest truth taught by the sages. The only true power is the power over ourselves. We are not victims of our emotions. We are their masters. And in mastering them, we find a life no storm can destroy. Control what you can, let go of what you cannot. We often find ourselves tangled in a web of worries, anxieties, and endless what-ifs. Our minds race to solve problems, many of which lie far beyond our reach. We strain, we stress, and yet, the answers do not come. Why? Because we try to command the uncontrollable. There is a quiet but powerful truth that, if understood, can transform the way we live. It is simple. Some things are within our control, and many things are not. The art of peace lies in learning to see this difference clearly, and to act only where our power truly exists. Think of the ocean. You stand on the shore, watching waves crash and retreat. You cannot stop the waves. You cannot force the sea to calm or obey. But you can choose how to stand steady, unafraid, unshaken. This is the wisdom of control. It may sound easy when said like this, but it is perhaps the hardest lesson to learn because our nature pushes us to want control over everything. We want to control outcomes, the opinions of others, events that shape our lives. When things go wrong, we blame ourselves or rage against fate. Yet, when we realize that the only thing truly in our hands is our own mind, our own thoughts, choices, and actions, we begin to unlock real freedom. This is not a freedom that depends on external circumstances. It is an inner fortress that no storm can breach. The great thinkers before us taught this well. Epictetus, once a slave, said, "Some things are up to us and some are not up to us." He showed that suffering comes when we try to control what is beyond us. Peace comes when we turn our effort inward. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor and philosopher, faced wars, loss, and betrayal. Yet, he wrote calmly, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Strength to face hardship, strength to endure pain, strength to remain calm when chaos surrounds us." But how do we truly let go? How do we stop grasping for control over the uncontrollable? The answer is in daily practice. It begins with awareness. We must catch ourselves when we spiral into fear over things we cannot change. Imagine you are stuck in traffic. Your mind immediately starts blaming others. You worry about being late. You feel anger rising. Now, ask yourself, is this traffic under my control? The answer is no. But your reaction is. Here lies the power. You cannot command the road, but you command your mind. You choose patience, calm, or anger. This choice shapes your experience. Choosing calm is a small victory, a moment of freedom. Each time we do this, we build a habit. The habit of focusing energy only where it matters. The habit of surrendering what cannot be tamed. Slowly, this changes our entire way of being. Overthinking often comes from trying to control everything at once. We try to predict the future, control other people's feelings, or rewrite the past in our minds. But this is an illusion. The future is unknown, other minds are theirs alone, and the past is gone. When we accept this, a great weight lifts. We no longer waste precious energy on endless battles with what cannot be changed. Instead, we turn to what can be shaped by our actions now, our thoughts now, our attitude now. This does not mean passivity. Quite the opposite. It means engaged action grounded in reality. When we focus on what we can control, we become effective. We move with clarity and purpose. Consider a soldier on the battlefield. He cannot control the chaos of war, the weather, or the enemy's moves. But he can control his own courage, his own discipline, his own steps. This focus makes him strong. In life, you're that soldier. Your battlefield is your mind, your choices, your response to events. You cannot control all outcomes, but you can control your effort and your attitude. Letting go is not weakness. It is the deepest strength. It frees the mind from chains of useless worry. It sharpens the spirit and brings peace that no outside force can steal. It also opens the door to acceptance, not giving up, but fully embracing what is beyond our reach while working diligently where we have power. Practice this each day. When you wake, remind yourself, today, I control my thoughts and actions. I release what I cannot change. Let this be your shield. When difficulties come, say to yourself, this is outside me. I will not waste my strength on what I cannot bend. I will bend myself with reason and calm. This is the quiet battle, the true test of character. The struggle not against the world, but against the mind's restless grasping. Remember, you are not your circumstances. You are not your fears or doubts. You are the steady observer within, the one who chooses peace over panic, control over chaos. By focusing only on what is truly yours, your thoughts, your will, your actions, you build a fortress no storm can destroy. This is the way out of overthinking. This is the path to a life free from unnecessary stress. In this simple but profound shift lies your power to live with clarity, strength, and peace. There is a trap in the mind where we find ourselves endlessly turning things over, stuck in a whirlpool of what-ifs and maybes. The longer we think, the more confused we become. The storm inside grows louder, and peace slips further away. This is the very heart of overthinking paralysis by analysis. We lose ourselves not because life is too hard, but because we fail to act with clear purpose. But consider this. The universe does not wait for us to be ready. It moves on, steady and sure, without hesitation. The seasons change, the sun rises and sets, and life flows without pause. Yet we hesitate. We delay. We wrestle with fear, doubt, and second-guessing. This hesitation is what weakens us, what steals our strength. To break free from this cycle, we must embrace one simple truth: action is the antidote to indecision. The wise do not wait for perfect clarity, because perfect clarity rarely comes. Instead, they act from the best understanding they have in the moment. They trust that action itself will teach them what they need to know. When we act with purpose, even small steps create momentum. A single movement can break the chain of endless thought. This is the Stoic way, not to escape thinking, but to balance thought with purposeful doing. It is not reckless or careless. It is deliberate, calm, and grounded in reason. Imagine a sailor caught in fog on the sea. He cannot see the shore clearly, but he knows his destination. He cannot wait for the fog to lift. He must steer his ship steadily forward, adjusting course as he learns more. So too must we navigate the uncertainty of life with steady hands and a clear aim. The ancient Stoics taught that our will is our greatest power. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who ruled with wisdom and strength, said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In this short sentence lies the answer. Stop overthinking what to do and simply do what is right. Acting in accordance with your values, with courage and integrity, breaks the paralysis. Often, fear of failure holds us back. But failure is not the enemy, inaction is. The truly strong do not fear falling. They fear never trying at all. Every action, no matter the outcome, builds the muscle of resilience. Every choice made, even when uncertain, clarifies the path ahead. This is not to say that acting blindly is wise. Far from it. The Stoic practices careful reflection before decisions. But reflection must end at some point, and action must begin. The mind's task is to prepare the will's task is to move the body. When we hesitate, we give power to doubt and anxiety. These destructive emotions feed on indecision. But when we act, we starve them. Movement breaks the spell. It creates new possibilities. It calls forth strength we didn't know we had. To act with purpose, we must first know what is truly in our control. We cannot control the outcome, nor the reaction of others, nor the events around us. But we can control our own actions. We can decide to stand firm, to speak truth, to face hardship with courage. Focus on this power. Each day, ask yourself, what is one thing I can do right now that aligns with my values? Then do it. The task may be small, but its effect is great. It sends a message to your mind and heart. I am the master here. I am not a slave to fear. In this practice, overthinking loses its grip. The endless what if becomes replaced by what now. We learn to trust our inner strength. We become architects of our own lives, not prisoners of indecision. This path is not easy. It requires patience and repetition. You will stumble. You will face moments of doubt. But each time you choose action over hesitation, you build a fortress inside that no storm can breach. Seneca said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." The difficulty lies not in the task itself, but in our unwillingness to move forward. The Stoic calls upon us to dare to act, to dare to choose, to dare to live boldly in the face of uncertainty. Remember, the mind is a powerful tool, but it is the will that turns thoughts into reality. When the mind races and doubts, the will steps in and says, "Enough. I choose now." As we act, our fears lose their shadow. They shrink and fade. We begin to see that the mind's endless questions were only clouds hiding the clear sky of our true power. The more we practice purposeful action, the more freedom we gain. The freedom to live without chains of worry. The freedom to respond to life with calm and confidence. So, when you find yourself trapped in overthinking, remind yourself, the cure is not more thought, but right action. Take the first step, no matter how small. Move toward what matters. Let your actions be your answer. This is the Stoic way, not to be ruled by the storm inside, but to be the calm center from which all movement flows. Imagine standing on the edge of a cold river early in the morning. The water is freezing, biting at your skin, and your body wants to pull back. Most people would avoid this. Most people seek comfort, warmth, safety. But the wise man steps forward. He lets the cold water wash over him, because he knows this small challenge is a training ground for greater storms ahead. This is the way of voluntary discomfort. It is a strange idea for many. Why would someone choose to feel pain or difficulty when they can avoid it? But it is precisely this choice that builds strength, courage, and calm. The Stoics understood this deeply. They did not live to avoid hardship. Instead, they invited hardship in small doses, so their minds and souls would be prepared when life's true hardships came crashing down. Life is unpredictable. No one escapes suffering, loss, failure, or pain. But we can control how we meet these challenges. The person who has never faced difficulty is fragile, like glass, easily broken. The person who has learned to endure discomfort, even welcome it, is like tempered steel. Strong, resilient, unshaken. When we train ourselves with voluntary discomfort, we are not punishing ourselves. We are teaching our minds that pain and hardship are not enemies. They are teachers. They reveal our weaknesses, but also our power to grow. Each time we face something uncomfortable by choice, the next time fear tries to grip us, we have a memory, a proof, that we can handle more than we thought. Consider the simple practice of fasting. Skipping a meal may seem small, but it is a way to remind ourselves that we are not slaves to hunger or desire. It trains patience and control. It calms the restless mind that is always chasing pleasure or avoiding pain. The hunger is temporary. Our peace is permanent if we learn to master ourselves. Or think about waking early when your bed is warm and your body begs for rest. This small act of choosing discipline over ease builds a habit of strength. It shows us that we can decide our actions, not just react to comfort or discomfort. It builds confidence, the quiet confidence that when life demands effort, we will deliver. The ancient philosopher Seneca said, "Difficulty strengthens the mind, as labor does the body." This is no empty phrase. It is truth carved from experience. When we invite difficulty, we become stronger. Not because the difficulty changes, but because we change. Our souls grow tougher, our fears shrink, and our peace grows wider. Voluntary discomfort also clears the mind of unnecessary desires. We see clearly what is truly important. When you sit with discomfort, you realize how much of your worry is based on false needs and illusions of control. You learn that comfort and ease are luxuries, not rights. And with this awareness comes freedom from the chains of endless wants and fears. Facing small challenges every day prepares us for the big storms. When life throws us sudden pain, loss, or chaos, we stand firm. We do not crumble under pressure because our minds are trained. Our hearts are steady. We know that hardship is temporary and that our inner strength is eternal. But voluntary discomfort is not just about physical trials. It is about training the mind to endure mental discomfort. 2. The discomfort of silence when the world screams for noise. The discomfort of patience when everything urges us to rush. The discomfort of self-control when emotions demand release. Each time we resist the easy escape, each time we sit with discomfort instead of running, we grow stronger. This is a daily practice, a lifelong journey. The path is not smooth, but it is the path to freedom from fear, worry, and overthinking. Some may ask, why suffer when I can avoid it? The answer is clear. Avoiding all suffering leaves us weak and lost when suffering inevitably comes. Embracing discomfort now means we are never caught unprepared. It means we greet pain and difficulty not as enemies, but as old friends who sharpen us. There is also a deep peace that comes with voluntary discomfort. When you face hardship by choice, you no longer fear hardship by chance. You stand with open eyes and steady heart, knowing that your true power lies in your response, not in your circumstances. Imagine a soldier training in the cold rain, carrying heavy burdens. When the real battle comes, the soldier does not panic. The battle is just another challenge. The soldier has been here before. The soldier's mind is calm because it is trained. This is the mind of the Stoic. In a world full of uncertainty and sudden change, voluntary discomfort is a shield. It is a preparation. It is a way to step out of the endless loop of anxiety and overthinking, because the mind that has faced hardship calmly knows it can face anything. To practice this, start small. Choose one thing today that is uncomfortable but safe. Maybe it is a cold shower. Maybe it is a few minutes without your phone. Maybe it is walking instead of driving. Notice how your mind reacts. Notice the urge to avoid discomfort. Then choose to stay. Feel the discomfort without fear. Over time, these small choices become habits. Your mind grows tough. You grow free. You stop fearing what might come, because you have already met hardship many times before and stood firm. This is the art of voluntary discomfort. It is the quiet power to say no to ease, no to fear, no to weakness. It is the power to build a soul that is steady, calm, and unbreakable. We are not born with this power. We must train for it. The great Stoics trained their minds like athletes trained their bodies. They welcomed challenges. They lived simply. They chose discomfort to gain strength. If you wish to stop overthinking, to be truly free of stress, begin here. Begin by embracing small hardships. Train yourself to welcome the uncomfortable. In that choice lies the root of true peace, a peace that cannot be shaken by anything outside. Remember, the strongest tree is not the one sheltered from the storm, but the one that grows its roots deep by standing against the wind. So, stand firm. Choose discomfort. Train your mind. The storm will come. You will be ready. Time is not yours. Memento mori and the urgency of now. Imagine for a moment that you hold a glass of water. Slowly, you pour it out, drop by drop, never to be recovered. Each drop is a moment of your life, slipping away silently, irretrievably. This is time. It flows without pause, and no one commands it. You do not own a single second. You merely borrow it. Why then, do we waste these precious drops drowning in worries about the future, regrets about the past, and fears that paralyze us now? The ancients spoke of this clearly. They named it, memento mori, remember you will die. Not as a grim warning, but as a powerful reminder to live with urgency and clarity. To remember death is not to be morbid. It is to be awake. Death is the great equalizer. No power, no wealth, no fame can change its course. It comes for all, always nearer than we think. Yet, in this truth lies freedom. When we accept that our time is limited, the meaningless anxieties lose their grip. Why bother fretting over things beyond your control? Why waste energy on what might never come to pass? The Stoics believe that the only true possession you have is this very moment, the breath you take right now. If you waste it on endless fear or overthinking, you give death more power than it deserves. You let it steal your peace before its time. Consider this. A man who fears death acts as though he has 1,000 years. He plans endlessly, procrastinates, and lets stress consume him. Another man, who understands the brevity of life, lives with purpose. Each action matters because each moment is irreplaceable. This man is free not because he controls fate, but because he controls his response. We often speak of living for the future as if that future is guaranteed. But it is not. Tomorrow is a gift, never a promise. The past is gone, like water spilled from your hands. All that exists is now, this exact instant, where you breathe, think, choose. When anxiety claws at your mind, pull yourself back to this truth. Ask yourself, am I wasting this moment on worries that serve no purpose? Could I instead choose to act, to be present, to accept what is? The answer lies in acceptance. Acceptance of death, of impermanence, of change. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic sage, wrote that life is short and fleeting. He urged himself to remember this every day, to focus on what truly matters. Not the noise of distractions, not the judgments of others, but the calm center within, a mind anchored in the present. This awareness does not erase pain or hardship. It does not make suffering vanish, but it gives us the strength to face these trials with dignity. When we see that each day could be our last, we stop wasting energy on petty fears and petty thoughts. We rise, focused and clear. There is a profound courage in this. To live fully means to embrace the uncertainty of life without clinging to false security. To accept that the future is not in your hands, but your attitude is. To find joy not in endless plans, but in simple presence. Imagine a tree in autumn, shedding leaves one by one. It does not fight the falling. It does not cling to what must go. It stands firm, rooted, ready for the next season. So too should we stand, ready to release what we cannot keep, and grateful for what we have now. By keeping death close in our minds, we transform fear into fuel. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to grow stronger. Every moment becomes precious, every breath a gift. The worry that once paralyzed becomes a call to action. It is here, in this acceptance of mortality, that we find the door to peace. Not peace that denies reality, but peace that embraces it fully. A peace that lets us walk through life's storms with steady feet and calm hearts. When the mind no longer fears the end, it can finally be free. Free from the chains of overthinking, free from the burden of useless stress. Free to live fully, to act wisely, and to love deeply. So, the next time your thoughts spiral into fear and doubt, remind yourself, your time is borrowed. Use it well. Stand firm like the ancient Stoics did. Choose presence over panic, courage over avoidance. Death is certain. The question is, how will you live knowing this? Will you waste your drops of water in worry? Or will you hold your glass steady and drink deeply from the well of now? The answer lies in your hands. There is a power, quiet and vast, that few truly seek, and even fewer find. It is the power of a still mind. Imagine the surface of a deep lake. When the wind blows, the water ripples, sometimes violently. But beneath those waves, the water remains calm, untouched by the chaos above. So too can your mind become calm in the storm, steady when all else trembles. We live in a world loud with distractions. Noise pulls at us from every side, endless opinions, worries, and pressures. It tries to drag us into confusion and fear. But what if we could stand apart from it? What if we could live inside a silence so strong that no noise could break it? This is not a dream. It is a path walked by those who have faced their fears and mastered themselves. The first step toward that stillness is acceptance. Not the weak acceptance of giving up, but the fierce acceptance of reality as it is. Many waste their strength fighting what cannot be changed. The rain will fall. The wind will blow. Life will bring hardship. To resist these truths is to live in constant battle. To accept them is to stop wasting your power on what lies beyond your control. Control is the heart of freedom. Freedom from the chains of overthinking. Freedom from the weight of unnecessary pain. When you understand clearly what you can control, your own thoughts, your own actions, and what you cannot, the opinions of others, the past, the future, you create space inside yourself. This space is the stillness where peace grows. Think about the mind like a garden. If you allow weeds, the anxious, what-ifs, the fearful stories to take root, the garden will be overrun. But if you choose carefully which seeds to water, courage, reason, patience, the garden will bloom. It is not easy. It demands daily care. But this care is the practice of freedom. Do not fear silence. Do not fear emptiness. The noise in your head is not truth, it is habit. When you learn to watch your thoughts as clouds passing across a clear sky, you will realize how little control these thoughts have over you. You are not the storm. You are the sky beneath it. There will be moments when fear rises. Anger will knock at your door. Doubt will whisper lies. This is part of being human. The wise do not deny these feelings. They greet them, feel them fully, then gently set them aside. Like a traveler passing through a town, they do not make camp in the mess of emotions but continue on the path of calm. Remember the stories of those who walked before us, philosophers who faced exile, loss, and death without losing their peace. They knew that true power is not in changing the world, but in mastering the self. It is the strength to hold steady, no matter what rages around you. When you cultivate this stillness, you become untouchable. Not because you shut out life, but because you meet life with clarity. You stop reacting to every slight, every worry, every imagined threat. Instead, you choose your response. You choose peace. This does not mean you will never feel stress or pain, but these will no longer rule you. You will feel them like waves that rise and fall, never drowning you. You will stand firm, like a rock in a river, shaping the flow but never swept away. Overthinking is a habit of the restless mind, a refusal to accept what is. But the still mind accepts fully, responds wisely, and moves forward with purpose. It frees you from the prison of constant worry. So, how do we walk this path? One small step at a time. Begin by watching your thoughts. Notice when your mind races, and gently bring it back to what you can control. Practice silence. Spend time away from noise and distraction. Remind yourself that each moment is an opportunity to choose calm over chaos. The world outside will never be perfect. People will fail you. Plans will fall apart. But your mind, your inner fortress, can remain unshaken. This is the gift of true freedom. We are not born with this strength. We build it like a muscle. It grows with every act of patience, every choice to remain calm, every refusal to be dragged into fear. It is a quiet power, but it is the greatest power you will ever own. In the stillness of your mind, you will find a deep well of peace, unbreakable and eternal. There you will no longer be a victim of your thoughts or your fears. You will be the master of your fate, the ruler of your soul. Let us strive, then, not to silence life's storms, but to stand unshaken within them. Let us find the calm beneath the chaos, the quiet strength in the noise. This is the true path, the way of the still mind. And in this stillness, we are free.